Hey folks, just going to go through a quick walkthrough on writing blog posts to help you out when it's time to actually do this for a project. So you're looking at my RStudio screen. It should look very similar to the one you have right away when you open. The first thing you ought to look and make sure of is that you are in your blog project up here in the top right hand corner. If you are not there, click on that. Find your blog project down here. I have more projects than you do, and that's no big deal, but yours will be one of these projects in there. So make sure that you're in the blog project, not in your GitHub project. So if you see something like that, that's not the right one. It's the blog project. So pops up a screen looking like this. There's a couple of new things I'm going to show you today that's really going to help you out. But one of the things I wanted to point out was you probably ought to clean out some of the garbage, the extra added posts in there. So if you go under content and go into posts, you've got all of these posts in here. You don't need them. So we can go ahead and select them all like that and then hit delete. And yeah, we want to get rid of them all. So they'll disappear. We'll leave that alone. We'll come back out here. Okay, so a couple of things that Blogdown does that we haven't talked about is up here in this add-ins button here. If you click that, you'll see these first thing. There's a couple of things about Blogdown that you've got here that you can work with. Surf site is certainly one of the most useful, but let's go ahead and click new post. It's going to pop up this screen and we're just going to fill it out. So I'm going to do a post called working. Let's try this. Trying new table libraries. Because I don't like the one that we've got using cable. I think there are some better ones out there. I'm going to try them real quick. Okay. Author. Well, that's me. You should make this yours. The date, it should default to today's date. That's good enough. The subdirectory, it should default to post. That's where you want to put it anyway, and I have no other options. I can give it some categories and some tags. An archetype is not necessary. But I do want to check down here where it says Markdown, R Markdown, or R Markdown. We've been using RMD files all semester long, so let's go ahead and make it that. And you should see this change now to index.rmd. The slug should be there, and it's going to come from your title. So all this stuff gets filled out. So categories, I'll put R, and it's going to add R as a category. Tags, I'll tag this as a tutorial. You don't need these, they're not required. But generally speaking, if you are going to take this site seriously and start publishing stuff in here, tags and categories would be a really good thing to have around and make some sense for you. So once I have all of this, I'm going to scroll down here to done, and I'm going to hit done. And it is going to go ahead and automatically fill in this stuff for me. And if I go over here to content and I go to posts, it's already created my folder for me. And this is just going to work. Now I need to leave this. This is called a YAML header. I need to leave this alone. I don't want to touch anything in there. But if I go into this folder, you'll see this index.rmd. Let me add something here. I'm going to rewrite the sports book chapters that use tables, and I'm going to use some different libraries. Okay, so I'm going to try and add a library here. I do have Reactable. Excellent. I'm going to use Reactable. And then I'll figure some other stuff out here. I just wanted to have a couple of things in here that I can have. I want to save this file and make sure it's saved. I'm going to go up here to add-ins again, and I'm going to go down here to serve site, and I want you to notice a couple of things happen here. It's going to start it up. It's going to give me my site, and there it is. My new post appears there. But if I go back here to files, notice it's created new files here. And notice specifically it created an index.html. You might have noticed throughout the semester using R Notebooks that it might create something that's called yournotebook.nb.html. The NB means notebook. So if this says index.nb.html, then you have done this wrong, and this will not work when you go to try to export this to your website. So I have index.html here. That means it's working. Also, I didn't get much of an option to rename this file, but notice that the file has a lowercase letter in this case. It's index lowercase I .rmd, and the R is capitalized, but that's not going to render on the website. It has to be lowercase I for this. So if I go back in my viewer, I can click on this, and I've got code, and I've got all of this. So now over here in my notebook, this notebook is going to behave exactly the same way as your other notebooks are. The only thing that is going to be different is going to be trying to import data. You've got a couple of options here, one of which is you could put the CSV file into this same folder here, and then you just say, players read underscore CSV players21.csv, like this. I would have to move players.21 into this folder for that to work. That's a simple way to go about it. You could also path to a place, and remember tab completes from earlier in the semester. So I'm looking in my home directory. I'll look in box, and I can hit tab. So courses. I've got an SPMC 350 course. I have a folder called extras that has all of the scraped data in it, and I can scroll down here to there it is, players 21. And now I'd have to get rid of this rest of players so it reads correctly. You can do that too. It really depends on what you're comfortable with, but that's the only thing that's really going to change from anything that you've been accustomed to all semester long. Everything else down here is going to work exactly the same way. One thing, if for some reason you would not want a particular block of code to execute. So let's say I've got a particular block of code here and I'm just demonstrating something, but I don't want my notebook to actually execute it. You can put in here eval equals false. And that means that block will execute, will not execute. It will appear, but it will not execute. Another thing you might do is if you have a block of code that you want to execute, but you don't want people to see the code, you can change this to echo equals false. Now that is going to execute, but you won't actually see the code then. So just some options that you can play with if you need them when you do this. For the most part though, for most everybody, we're just going to treat this the same way. You're going to write text in between here. You're going to run code in between those steps, and for this I am going to look at players who are good at a sport, blah blah blah, something like that, and so on and so forth till you get done. All right, once you have that and you have saved this, I would go back and look. Failed to render. Oh, couldn't that fun function read? See here? Here's the error. If you get that error, guess what? I forgot to run tidyverse. Whoopsie. There it goes. And now I can do this. And now my blog post, if I refresh it and come back out here, oh, I haven't saved it yet. Duh. All right, once I save it, it will render. It's going to take a second to do so. There it is. Now my code has that updated. It gives me the package message. Here's my player's data. It's actually working. Okay, we're all off to good places. So now I need to go through the process of publishing it. And that is, I'm going to hit build website. It's going to go through here and say that it has rendered these files out, and it's rendered the site into this mattwaite.github.io. Now I need to go and flip over to my github.io project. And there it goes. And now I can look in this Git tree here, and this time around, the second time around, you should see a lot more M's than these question marks. My issue is I deleted a bunch of stuff. So it's going to, oh, no, it's going to add stuff and not delete it. My bad. So let me highlight the first one. Let me highlight the last one. I'm going to click on any one of those, and now they're all highlighted. I can hit commit. I'm going to go adding a new blog post about tables. And now I will go ahead and commit that. I'm going to get a message here. Everyone's will look slightly different, but so long as it doesn't say that it failed, this is good. I've got files it's creating, files it's rewriting, more files that it's creating. That's a good thing. That's a good sign. I'm going to close that. I've got my message over here that's hiding a little bit that says I'm ahead of origin. Yours will say origin main by one commit, and I'm going to go ahead and push that. I'm going to get error messages here because I changed all my security settings on GitHub and I haven't fixed them yet here in RStudio. But you hit that and it will go ahead and send those files up, and you should be able to go and pull it up. Just to review very quickly, this add-in screen, creating a new post and serving your site, really, really useful to making sure that you're creating posts that will actually work.